Welcome to the Bitcoin Capitalist stream. I'm going to be streaming every day until I get this thing off the ground. I just wanted to point out one thing and go on the record now. Trump is going to nationalize the Federal Reserve. Like right now, the Fed's political. They like a certain person. They lower rates. They don't. They raise rates. They control the whole global economy right now. They have so much power. It's ridiculous because they've printed all this money and we live and die by the Fed lowering or raising interest rates. If we lived in a healthy economy, in a healthy global economy, no one would be caring what the Fed was doing. Everyone would just be doing their own thing. But we just live in these ginormous real estate, stock market bubbles that they've created that we hang on everything they do because if they lower rates, all this free money comes out and everything goes up. If they raise the rates, everything comes collapsing down. And I don't remember like in the 80s or 90s, like it was just like the whole world's waiting on what the Fed's going to do. So now they've created this bubble. There's no way out of it. You can't taper a Ponzi scheme. And, they're playing games right now with Trump. They don't like Trump. They don't want to lower the rates. And what I think is going to end up happening is Trump is going to nationalize the Federal Reserve and make it and have the Treasury absorb it. And if you really look into the Federal Reserve, has nothing to do with the government. It's founded by private people. It's run by private banks. There's been many books written about it. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but like pretty much every gold bug knows that the Federal Reserve is this private company running the U.S. and global economy pretty much. And I think obviously Trump knows this, and they're playing games with him now. Trump can't just go out right now and nationalize the Fed. He's going to need a crisis to happen. And, and once this crisis happens, the next recession, depression, I think Trump's going to come in, nationalize it, put it under the Treasury, and use that crisis to take control of our credit system. And another thing I think you'll see in this Great Depression that's coming is these banks are going to fail. These insurance companies, investment companies have all made the same exact plays they did last time, and it blows up. And the top shareholders already took all their money out. And hey, if it goes under, it goes under. If the government wants to try to save the economy and bail it out, they'll take the money again. But I don't think there's going to be political willpower in this next recession, depression to bail out anyone. The banks, even if the system's going to collapse, people will probably rather see the system collapse than the banks go under. So what I think happens is the banks are going to go out of business and the FDIC is going to come in. And what is going to happen is we're going to establish like a Fed or like Federal Reserve Bank that's just going to loan directly to the people, like a Fed now that's controlled, and it's probably going to be nationalized by Trump. And then from there, they're just going to send money directly to people. And they can control the economy this way too. They're like, all right, you have $1,000 this month. You have 30 days to spend it. You have to go to a restaurant. You have to go to these places. And they can have a command and control economy. But you're going to see some crazy stuff because these banks are in trouble. They're archaic. Like, they're losing so much money to Bitcoin and crypto. Like, you can't send wire transfers. Their systems are horrible. And I think that all these banks are just going to get nationalized, and we're going to have like a super federal bank. It's probably what's going to end up happening. And I think Trump he's going to be the president to nationalize the Federal Reserve, I believe. But he's going to need a crisis to do it because if he just does it, I think the markets will just collapse and he'll be blamed for it. But the markets are crashing. He'll have justification to go in there and do this. So it's a little bit of a slow week, but I think once the rates drop, I think it's off to the races. And there's been so much correction happening that when they lower the rates, it's going to be boomtown in crypto, meme coins, all the speculative assets, and they're never going to raise rates. They're already going to lower. And what's crazy is like we go into a recession depression, how much room do they have to lower rates? Like they're gonna have negative rates or whatever voodoo economics they're gonna have, and then they're just gonna start sending people checks. And the cornerstone of the U.S. economy right now is real estate. Like stock market could go down. Only a few percent of Americans even own stocks. Your average guy doesn't even own stocks. But when real estate starts tanking, I think the whole U.S. economy is going to tumble and crash because Putin said it best before the 2009 financial crisis. Putin said, "I don't understand the American economy. All they do is buy and sell each other's homes," and that is the truest statement. We literally just have this fake economy. We move these fake assets online. We move back and forth between this real estate. We make nothing. We're a service economy pretty much. And everyone just wildly speculates in this country. There's zero savings. If you look at Coachella, 60+% of people finance their ticket. The financing's hitting record. You can finance your DoorDash. Credit card debt is reaching all-time highs. These are signs of an unhealthy economy. These aren't signs everyone's doing great. Oh, everyone's got $1 million in the bank. There's no mortgage on their home. Very, very few people are doing great in this economy, and that's the 1% who own all the stocks in real estate. Your average Joe is just getting killed. And this is a recipe for disaster politically, because I think when the shit hits the fan on this next one, they're going to blame capitalism wholeheartedly for everything. And you are going to see, you know, murmurs and talking of socialism and communism. And the Bernie Sanders, the next Bernie Sanders is going to come about. And that's what we're going to get here. We're going to get capital controls. We're going to get price controls. We're going to get socialism. And the scary thing is we're such an open society that with like the Chinese, if I'm the Chinese, I would be pumping all this money in and supporting all these candidates indirectly through whatever channels you want that are socialists and communists and just get the United States to destroy itself economically. And they might want this trade war to kick off just so the markets crash. They're a dictatorship. You go out and riot, they're just going to arrest you. They can do all these things. The U.S. is an open book, open borders, open society. Riots, protests will happen. And the Chinese can survive an economic, depression and reconfigure their economy. The U.S., we're going to tear each other apart. And then the Chinese come in, sponsor these socialist candidates, get one in, and just really pervert the U.S. economy, price controls, and capital controls. And that's like another big thing is you have a lot of people that are millionaires and they just never think something like this can happen. And it can happen overnight. And all their money is going to be stuck here. And you look at most millionaires, it's like probably tied into their real estate. And real estate's really illiquid. If no one's buying, like you can't get out of it. And if the banks are going under, you're not going to be able to borrow against it. And then you got your money in stocks and a little bit of cash. You got to have Bitcoin. You got to have a ticket out of town. And I think these residencies and second citizenships are going to explode, or the price is going to go 10x once all these rich people try to get out and beat all these capital controls. It's going to be crazy. So just be ahead of the curve. You gotta be acting when no one else is acting. Do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. Like right now, perfect time. Go get a residency, buy Bitcoin, get maybe a condo out of town, turn it into an Airbnb, have a place to go to, because the clock on the American empire is ticking, and I think the sun's gonna set. I love the U.S. I love everything it stands for, but it's just like math is math. Like the numbers, the debt, and you look at history. I'm a student of history. You look at the Roman Empire. Nothing lasts forever. No world reserve currency lasts forever. And I think we're gonna get a dark ages similar to the Roman Empire, because Rome was so big that when it collapsed, there was just this huge vacuum. You look at right now, 80% of all the global trade is in dollars. What happens if the dollar goes overnight? We're not using Chinese yuan. Very few people own Bitcoin. All the Bitcoiners will be wealthy, but the masses will just be completely destitute. And the scary part is going to be, like in the U.S., we have an aging population. Baby boomers make up the majority, and these people are all thinking they're gonna have this nice, quiet retirement on a lake. And what happens when their pensions and their whole life policy go under? Like my dad has a whole life policy. He's been paying to his whole life. It's not guaranteed. If that company goes under, he loses that insurance policy. And you think back to 2009, AIG was going out of business. Like they were done. The world's largest insurance, they were completely bankrupt. So everyone's whole life, all your insurance policies you've been paying into for years would have been worth nothing. Do you know how hard that would be? Like you paid into something for 30 years, 40 years, and then your money's gone. Where did it go? So my dad right now is in the process of cashing his whole life out because he sees like, hey, we're on the next of this big crash, and this isn't an insured deal. He's gonna cash that out, put it into a bunch of FDIC insured CDs, and then he's already got a bunch of Bitcoin. So I think that's a smart move, and I think anything that's not insured could go under. And the problem is, even if you are insured, all right, the government spends $20 trillion to build the banking system. That money you have in the bank just devalued by 50%. So really the only safe plays are Bitcoin, gold, and silver. And gold and silver can be confiscated. The other problem is the U.S. is tearing itself apart. You want to be leaving. You're not getting on a plane with your gold. And you have to declare it and pay whatever tax you're going to, whatever each country you go to with that gold. Bitcoin's just the flat out play. And we're just going to have days where Bitcoin goes up $20,000, $30,000 in a day. It's going to be crazy. And everyone right now is speculating in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an insurance policy against the whole system imploding. And when you need that insurance, no one's going to be selling. At a certain point, these exchanges will run dry because people won't be trading. Everyone will withdraw their Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin price will just short squeeze to oblivion because no one's going to be selling because they're like, this is their ticket. Like, I need to buy food and land or whatever wherever I go, and no one's going to be selling. So don't wait to prepare. Buy Bitcoin. Yeah, if you have these whole life policies, look at cashing them out because I think this next financial crisis is coming sooner than later. And pretty much, you guys saw the last one. Pretty much there's no such thing as too big to fail. Every company was exposed and was going under. And without a government bailout, they were all toast. And I just don't think there's the political willpower and from Main Street America for any bailouts of banks and stuff to get Congress to pass it, even no matter how bad the financial situation is. I don't think there's going to be political willpower to bail out anything. And that means these companies are going to go under and that these losses are going to be realized and they're going to be very bad. So sign up for the stream. I'm going to be doing daily streams until I get a couple thousand followers, get this thing going, and we'll have some fun on here.